In our series, The World After Coronavirus, today we have with us Tom Tugendhat. Tom is a member of the UK Parliament. He joins us from the United Kingdom, and he is also in Parliament the chair of the Foreign Affairs Committee. And we're going to ask him what he thinks the future of the nation state might look like in a post-COVID world.
The nation state is a concept which, many people will know is only 200 or 300 years old in many ways. Is, I think, in some ways reasserting itself and in some ways redefining itself. And I think that's one of the areas we're going to see evolve in the post-COVID world. The nation state has been reasserting itself in different ways already. We've certainly seen countries like the UK leaving the European Union. We've seen the rhetoric coming out of the White House and indeed the actions of General Secretary Xi in China. But when it goes further afield, we've seen that, for example, Germany was very slow to assist Italy. France was banning the export of various medical products to Italy in the early days. And so we're seeing a really different national identity emerge. And even in the United States, we're hearing of state boundaries becoming the boundaries between states. And so we're seeing a very different form of national identity emerging, maybe a more solid form than we've been used to for a long time. And I think that's one area where, the fear of the other that a virus, a pandemic can prompt, along with the failure of so many international institutions from the World Health Organization and the UN, right down to many regional bodies, has struggled to respond. And that's given a greater legitimacy to a real local identity.
What might this mean for foreign policy and the practice of foreign policy?
There is a possibility that this changes the way we do foreign policy quite markedly, because nation states like to view each other as equals, even if that isn't always true. And so countries like the UK will start, I suspect, to try and push themselves in a way to see themselves as equal with the world rather than being a part of a regional organization. And I suspect that will also come from many European and, in fact, many other countries around the world. Now, the question is, of course, with how many can you truly be equal and whether or not your partners will accept it. Now, some partners may do. France and Germany, I suspect, would do. Whether India would is an open question. Whether China would appears to be less of an open question, and whether the current administration in the United States would see anyone else as equal is, well, not open to very much question at all.
When you and your colleagues meet back again once all of this is behind us on the other side of COVID, what do you think will be the biggest foreign policy questions they will be wondering about?
The longer the COVID crisis lasts, the more it will be a new world. And at the moment, we'll be picking up more off the old one. The longer it lasts, the more we will have seen that organizations like the World Health Organization will have not have answered the questions we needed as early as we needed them. And even regional organizations like the European Union and many others around the world, will have been found wanting. And I think the longer, therefore, this lasts, the more radical, as it were, the change will be. And that's where, we come back to the question of nationalism and national identity, because we're going to have to think again about what the building blocks are of the future, which is that we will be much more part of a national structure looking to work together than what has evolved over the last 70 years into an international structure that has started to, in some ways, seek to frame debate rather than be framed by national debate. And this is where it's very difficult to say, is this the explosion of a supernova that burns brightest before it goes out? And this is the end of nationalism? Or is this quite the reverse? Is this the end of internationalism?